Hello, Harding School Bands. This is for a silver band. Mr. Andre here once again. This is obviously a saxophone video. Saxes. This is lesson 9 and 11 in your packet for this week. Um, Basically, we'll be going over 3 low notes using our right hand on these lower keys, and then some of the high notes that we need for the Hawks Band audition later on. So let's get started right away with these low notes on lesson 9. This is in the first packet that I gave you, the Ed Sueda packet. And one way to kind of get these low notes, first off, is you need to make sure that everything is working on your saxophone and with the mouth. So you can kind of start off with no fingers down. We haven't learned this note yet, or we did maybe like way back in the beginning of the year. No fingers down, A, and then all your fingers down to the D, kind of like this. And if that's working, and of course now that we're live it doesn't work for me so well, but just keep that nice slow steady airstream. Everything should work out just fine. I'm actually going to move this, I think, over here, and that way it doesn't look like the fan is coming out of my head. And then you can probably see this a little bit better too. Okay, so that's one way to kind of check these low notes. So the low notes that you have on the top part of your page, if you're looking, it is your low F, 4 fingers of course, your low E, 5 fingers, and that low D. And you notice that these letter names, the fingerings are the same as in that upper register, but this time there is no octave key as well. So we're going to start off just on the left hand G, and add those right fingers just kind of slowly. So again, slow, steady air. Make sure your lips are firm all the ways around that mouthpiece. My top teeth are actually touching the top of this mouthpiece, and by the way, saxophone player, I'm not a saxophone player, but if there's any helpful hints you can give in any of the comments, that's always accepted. I'm talking to my professional friends and neighbors. So again, just kind of work your way down like that. Line number 1, it starts on your F. The new notes are labeled, then it's not labeled, new note labeled, not labeled, etc. You're just going to play the first 6 measures, those first few notes. Kind of like this. Okay, so that's really all we're doing, just kind of working our way down on that one. Line number 2, is kind of using these new notes, moving one step at a time basically, one finger at a time. It's all right hand work. Okay, so again, feel free, stop the video, rewind it a little bit if you need to hear it again. Always, when we're looking at new music, check out the beginning, check out the time signature for now, check out the key signature if that applies. All right, let's move on. Number 3, we have a new time signature here. Make sure it's 3/4 time. I notice there's an error in my conductor score. So 3/4 time, 3 counts in each measure, and remember these dotted half notes get 3 beats. We encountered that way back in the beginning of the year in the rubber band book. So here's line 3. Okay, you can skip line 4 and line 5 for now. Line 6, music in the air. It's exactly like page 16 in your red book. If you didn't play it, it goes like this. And these are all familiar notes on line 6, so just a great song to kind of review what you guys know already. And again, you notice it's also actually using mostly right hand once again, all of these kind of upper register notes with the exception of the G and the C. Okay, down in the valley, I have a wonderful page turn on my score, so I'm going to do my best with that. There we are. Of course, it's where everything is down. So this is exactly like page 17 in the Red Book. Okay, last one on this page, Man on the Flying Trapeze. Kind of uses 7 of the notes that you know so far. So again, a good song to always just work. It's always good to work on something new. Try and pick something new every day maybe. And review, of course, all the old stuff. Okay, here it is, line 8. As you're going through these, always, listen to yourself. Make sure, even when you're tonguing these notes, you have a nice smooth sound. Remember that concept of the tizzle, a sizzle with a T. So if I were to tizzle this, I'm going to ignore the slurs for now. My air is not stopping between each note. The air keeps going forward. And my tongue just starts each note. I think it's important to realize that there's no stopping of anything. It's just starting each note and keeping that air moving forward. Let's move on to lesson 11. We have 2 new notes happening in lesson 11. Your high F sharp, which is like the low F sharp, except, of course, going to add that octave key. And the high G, which is just like your low G, except once again our friend the octave key. Line number 1 is a great, just kind of a 6-note warm-up. You guys go through this. I don't think you need me to play that. Just go through that on your own. Line number 2, again, just part of a warm-up once again. Just kind of working through 6 notes here. Line number 3, we have our new notes, the F sharp and the G. So this goes through. What's your first note? Yes, it's a D, okay. And it just kind of goes up the alphabet. Notice that time signature, 4/4 time. 1, 2, 3, 4. I knew that those were high F sharps because of that sharp sign next to them, right? Okay, if we look down line 4, very similar in the fact that those F sharps have the sharp sign next to at least the first one. This is a great kind of 2 in a row, read 2 note exercise. Again, 4/4 time. And yes, you get extra points if you notice that my mistake in measure, I think it was 2, I misplayed the C or the D. Okay, so you get extra points if you notice that, okay? I don't get any extra points for playing them though. So those are your 2 high notes. Number 5, Just a great little familiar tune. Let's see how I do on this one. Theme by Beethoven. If you want to play the familiar version of it and the whole tune itself, go to your red book, page 29, number 131. So that has the version like this. And you'll notice in your red book how those dotted quarter notes are played a little bit longer. Okay, you have a couple options happening here next. Number 6, Billy Boy. I'll just play through it. That way you have a oral model. So again, the lesson is to pick either 6 or 7. You could certainly play both. It's not going to hurt you. In fact, it'll probably do you good. So here's line 6. So there's Billy Boy. Good kind of approaching that G from a skip, going from the D to the G. Line 7, the Marines hymn. As you look over this, you'll notice at the end of the first line there is a repeat. So you go back, you play the first line twice, go to the second line, and at the end of the second line, what's the indication? D, C, Al fine. So you're going to go back up to the top, da capo, and play until the fine. So here's the Marines hymn. You also have the indication there. If all the F's are sharp in the song, the sharp is written out in the beginning of the line. It's called the key signature. So check that key signature and you'll see all the F sharps. It happens in the second line. And yes, I saved 5 seconds. I didn't do the repeat on the first line. The very last thing for this video and for today on this lesson, line number 8, your G scale. Notice at the beginning of that line, what do you have? The F sharp. So that means all the F's would be sharp in this particular song. And if you notice that 7th measure, which is the 7th note, that is F sharp. So what you can do, take the pencil that you're supposed to have, circle that key signature at the very beginning of the line, and I want you to remember from the beginning of the line up until that 7th measure that that F is going to be sharp. So take the moment, do that now. I know that you can. So it's going to go like this. All whole notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Couple things before we break for today. As you're playing those higher notes, you want your mouth to be a little bit more closed. You might need to give a little more faster air and just a little bit more pressure with that bottom lip on the reed. Make sure you don't have too much reed in your mouth. there should only be. I'm taking about that much reed in my mouth. I don't know if you can, how well you can see that. We'll try and flip everybody around here. If you can see that. But that's basically it. All right, everybody stay well, stay healthy, keep on playing. Music is good for the soul. And that's about it for today. Thank you very much. Good luck, guys.